name of this channel is Books, Travels, History, and Tales, and today I'm going to go ahead and do a book summary. It's almost Christmas. You got to have an uncle or brother or father that might want some good reading, and this is it. It's Ian Toll's Pacific Crucible. It's the war at sea in the Pacific, 1941 through 1942. I'll give you a heads up right now. If there's a sequel to this, it'll be the other two books in the trilogy. And just like it says, it's an in-depth look at the early years of the war, especially in the Pacific, as far as the Navy and the Marines go. And well, there is some mention of Douglas MacArthur in the Philippines and a couple things like that. But it's focusing on the naval battles in particular between the United States and Japan. The book starts off, first of all, with the backgrounds leading up to this war, World War II. The political situations, especially in Japan and on the West Coast, in California and Hawaii, San Diego, and the United States in general. And it talks about the relationships that are coming up to these things. He discusses, Ian Toll discusses how the both countries viewed each other in those months prior to the beginning of the war. For us, the war starts December 7th, 1941, technically December 8th, because the next day FDR went before Congress asking for a declaration of war, which was followed up by that little silly man in Germany who then made Winston Churchill's dream come true, declare war on the United States because of its confrontation with Japan. So Ian Toll gives a great account of events that lead up to the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, and it was a surprise attack. The intention was to destroy the U.S. fleet there and hope to quickly go in what they call sue for peace, with gaining as much territory in the Pacific as possible, mostly the Philippines, Indonesia, the gas islands in there to secure their fuel. It also highlights the mistakes made by the U.S. intelligence services. I think I have mentioned it once before that we had a hint of this in January of 1941, but it was overlooked or not taken to heart as much. After Pearl Harbor, or the attack on the Navy, it addresses how fortunate we were that the main target was not there, the aircraft carriers, and that this alone really helped Chester Nimitz put together a, a defense and then eventually an offense to the Pacific War. The early battles, he also writes about the Coral Seas and, of course, Midway in June 1942, the turning point for the Pacific War, in which the Japanese were now being turned away and forced basically on the defense. I'm not going to go into it, but the Battle of Midway is very important, and Ian Toll, writes a fabulous narrative on this. We also, in this book, he addressed the leaderships and the strategies, because there are moments in this war you would swear that it was just luck sometimes, the way things turned out for the United States. But he does address a lot of leadership, a lot of focus, the strategy between Chester Nimitz, Leahy, Douglas MacArthur. And he tries to illustrate a rivalry between the Army and the Navy. And I believe he also does so for the Empire of Japan as well, showing the different thoughts between the Navy and the Army there as well. Um, he also compares Yakamoto, Isuro Oko 56, and his belief in superior planning and the way he wanted the strategies to work out, and how he felt towards the Army of Japan and its leadership. He also goes in here, a nice part of the book addresses innovations of technology, how people had to adapt. Um, a lot of people don't realize this, that for the most part, the U.S. Navy had to work with torpedoes that failed more than half the time. And they had to make adjustments for this. And also talks about how aircraft carriers became more of the battlefront, and that the U.S. was drifting away from the positions of a strong Navy via battleships. Also, just how important a fleet was to deliver island hopping approaches and eventually victory. Ian Toll's real good about using personal stories of Navy sailors, soldiers, and Marines throughout this book. It is a village, just a picture um, of history. It's very entertaining. It's engaging. So if you were to get something like this for dear old dad or your brother or some friend of yours who happens to like history, especially this time frame, you can't go wrong. He writes an excellent book. He obviously has a gift of research, and it's entertaining. I know I say this a lot, but to teach history by a book it's not easy. You've got to really engage your reader. This book and the other two that come with it are very good at that. Um, Towards the end, he starts bringing in forward plots, new advances as far as the next um, campaigns, such as Guadalcanal, Saipan, island hopping, like I said, making a strategy to end this war in the Pacific, which would include such battles as, a Saipan, um, stuff like that. And that is illustrated by several good chapters in this book. In the end, the Pacific Crucible, it's one of the best books on the early days of the Pacific War. Uh, like I said, it includes right up before uh, the attack on Pearl Harbor, but it goes in and it tries to illustrate just by an excellent narrative how Chester W. Nimitz came in and was a different type of leader, was a leader that they needed right then to assure the U.S. Navy that we're going to rebuild this and we're going to do this and we're going to take this fight to them. I can't say enough. Another book he wrote was Six Frigates, an excellent book as well. I'm not going to go off on this. Just keep in mind, it's the Pacific Crucible. It's volume one of his War in the Pacific trilogy. You won't be disappointed. Now, that's kind of what I do here. I do some book reviews, and mostly they're history books. But that's what I like. And this, sometimes I travel, haven't done so yet because I'm in a kind of a different situation. And every now and then I find some interesting tales I like to tell you, or get your opinion of, or I'll give you my opinion. If this is something interesting, I don't I don't make any money off this, so don't worry about it. You can probably find this at eBay or a decent bookstore, or certainly Amazon. But you won't, if you're looking for a Christmas present, this is it. I've already got a copy. Don't send me any, Troy. Thanks very much. And if you like what I write or do, go ahead and subscribe. If you don't like this book, I'd like to see your comment on it because I can't find anything bad about it. This is one of these I've got marked 3 or 4 places I just go back and read. And I haven't found something like that since Gene Smith. That'll be my next book review. See ya.